Miller Moss is entering the transfer portal, and USC is losing recruits left and right. Is USC football in shambles?
The USC women's basketball team is preparing for conference play after dominating wins over CA Baptist and St. Louis this past week.
College football is officially in the postseason. Which 12 teams will have a chance at the title?
Welcome back to Sports Scene. For the last time this year, I'm Grace Schneider.
I'm Liam Irvin.
And I'm Devin Diet. We have a great final show for you guys.
Well, this week, former USC starting quarterback Miller Moss announced his plans to enter the transfer portal after spending 4 seasons with the program. Moss started the Trojans' first 9 games before receiving a stern benching, ultimately ending his USC tenure. While the portal won't officially open for another week, 24/7 Sports has Miller ranked as the #1 quarterback transfer and a 4-star gunslinger. The redshirt junior threw for 18 touchdowns and over 2,500 yards this season with 9 interceptions. Earlier today on X, Moss posted a graphic expressing his appreciation for USC, saying that, quote, being a USC Trojan was a lifelong dream. An LA local and corner piece of the team's early success this season, Moss will likely have options as a QB that knows the ropes and can jump right into an offensive scheme. So Moss is officially setting sail. Where do you see him best fit?
Well, Moss, his main issue at USC was that he had too many turnovers at critical times. And frankly, USC just asked too much of Miller Moss. They expected him to carry USC throughout all their struggles. And for instance, he attempted 45 passes in 4 of his starts, even though the strength of USC's offense is their running game. So the ideal situation for Moss, I'm not sure what team that would be, but it would most likely be a balanced program that has a solid run, strong options for him so that he doesn't have to carry the team on his back.
Yeah, now I'm not sure how likely this is, but I would love to see Miller Moss go to Colorado. I think it would be great for him to also stay in the Power 4. They're going to have an open QB spot with Shedeur leaving. I think it would be fun to see him play for Coach Prime, get something new out of him.
Right now, most of the schools that are the options, Iowa, Auburn, I don't see him fit for those. I do see him going to the SEC. I think either LSU or Missouri are great fits. Missouri could be a good option. Drew Pine and Sam Horn, both solid quarterbacks, but, you know, for Missouri to compete down the line, you got to get a big quarterback transfer portal option. Miller Moss is that guy.
If I had to pick a team, I would stay within the Big Ten and say Michigan. I mean, Michigan beat Ohio State last weekend while throwing for only 62 yards. So this is an offense that isn't asking too much of their quarterback, and maybe he'll stay there.
I think it's also something to note that if Miller Moss does go, there's probably a chance that Jacoby Lane or maybe some other receivers from the USC Trojans decide to follow him and jump on the ship with the Miller Moss transfer portal. Yeah,
we've seen all season that Miller Moss really has strong connections with his receivers, so I don't doubt that at all. But with Miller Moss transferring, it's officially the most wonderful time of the year for USC football because National Signing Day has arrived, and Lincoln Riley is making his list and checking it twice, considering their rocky season. So over the next 3 days, 2025 prospects will have the first chance to make their previous commitments official. The Trojans signed 5-star defensive lineman Jakeem Stewart, who announced his commitment to the Trojans earlier this morning. USC also secured the 4-star safety Alex Graham, who flipped his commitment from Colorado to the Trojans less than 2 hours ago. And despite hailing from California, this morning 4-star linebacker Madden Furemo committed to Notre Dame. USC continues to struggle with recruitment, tracing back to 5-star defensive tackle Justice Terry's decision to decommit earlier this year. Bringing in a strong 2025 class over the next 3 days will be essential if Riley wants to get his Trojans back on track.
The Big Ten Championship game is this Saturday. We'll see the top-ranked Oregon Ducks face off against the Penn State Nittany Lions. This will be the first time these teams have played each other since the 1995 Rose Bowl. So let's take a look at how these two teams match up. Penn State is currently 11-1 with notable wins against Illinois and USC. Their pass efficiency is ranked 5th in the nation, with quarterback Drew Aller having a 70% completion rate. Since losing to Ohio State, the Nittany Lions outscored Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland 154-48. Oregon finished the regular season as the only undefeated team in the nation. This is the second time in school history that they have had a perfect regular season record. They are led by quarterback and Heisman candidate Dylan Gabriel, who has thrown over 3,000 yards and rushed 7 touchdowns this season. These teams match up pretty evenly in terms of stats, Oregon scoring 54 touchdowns this season and Penn State scoring 52. Oregon is averaging 6.6 yards per play and Penn State is averaging 6.8. There is a lot on the line. The winner of this game will get an automatic bid into the college football playoffs. Grace, who do you have, Penn State or Oregon?
Well, Devin, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than most people think. Sure, Oregon is currently the #1 team in the country. They're the current only team left in the country that's undefeated. So it seems obvious, seems like most people will pick Oregon, but their only notable win this season has been against Ohio State. And we saw last weekend, Michigan, unranked Michigan, took down Ohio State. So it's kind of proving them to be overrated.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. They are only a 3.5 favorite in this game. And I think Penn State will be the most physical team that Oregon has seen all season. But the Nittany Lions also do not have a top 25 win. So because of that, I'm going to go with Oregon. Oregon has rolled through their last 5 opponents by more than 20 points. And, I mean, regardless of the outcome of this game, we will see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I'm taking Penn State this time. They have a not-so-secret weapon in Tyler Warren. He's the nation's best tight end in college football. He was USC's demise earlier this year. So I wouldn't count out Penn State just yet. Like you said earlier, their stats line up. They're pretty similar teams, and I have Penn State taking it this for the Big Ten championship.
Well, speaking of championships, Terrence, who else will be joining the Ducks in the tournament this year?
Well, Devin, many teams say they're good, but they're not good enough to make their conference championship. But that's where they're standing right outside the bubble of the current 12-team playoff. Now, Liam, right now, Oregon sits at 1, Texas 2, SMU 3, and Boise 4. But I don't want to talk about that. What team are you looking at to make the bubble right now?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a bold take, and I'm going to say Ole Miss sneaks into this playoff bubble. I think there's 4 teams right now, obviously, that we're talking about. I want to hear your bracket first before we jump too far in.
Let's do it. So right now, I am sitting at, as we mentioned, Oregon 1. That's not a big difference. Oregon 1, Georgia 2. I have Georgia beating Texas in that championship. Clemson 3. I have them taking down SMU. Boise State 4, Notre Dame takes number 5, Penn State after losing the conference championship. Sorry, Grace. Then 7, Texas, 8, Tennessee, 9, Ohio State, 10, Indiana, 11, Alabama, and then Arizona State rounding it out.
So you think Alabama sneaks in there?
I do think Alabama sneaks in. I don't think they deserve it. I'm going to say that much. I do not think they deserve it, but I think they're going to end up getting in. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yours?
Sure. I have a similar top. Obviously, Oregon, I think, will win the Big Ten championship and be the #1 seed undoubtedly. Texas, I have beating Georgia, so unsimilar to you, they'll be the #2 seed. Boise State, I think, deserves the 3 spot. I think Clemson will take down the ACC championship and become the 4 seed. Notre Dame versus Ole Miss, that's 5v12. Penn State will be the 6 seed. Arizona State, the 11. Georgia, 7. Indiana, 10. And then I have, same as you, Tennessee, 8 seed. Ohio State, 9. Let's go back to those bubble teams, though. I want to talk about, in the history of the College Football Playoff Committee, it seems like whatever teams are in before the conference championships, if they're not going to be in a conference championship, they usually are set for the playoffs. In this new 12-team era, it seems like that's going to be the case for Miami and Alabama. What are your thoughts on that?
Right, and if we take a look at the current playoff bracket, Miami is out of that, and Alabama is getting that final in after the byes. And I got to say, I'm inclined to agree with Alabama over Miami. But Liam, I think that Ole Miss is a better team than Alabama. I agree with you. I just don't think they're great. If we're looking at the bracket right now, then I think that Alabama should not make it, and it should be that Ole Miss team. But let's talk about SMU. If SMU loses to Clemson, which we both think Clemson is going to win, should SMU make it?
I think there's a good argument there, considering that they would be, a 1-loss team, 2 losses counting the ACC championship, and they played a really solid season all year long in a pretty loaded, decently compared to, preseason, what you thought the ACC was going to look like. SMU was not on that list whatsoever. Right. I think it would be good for college football for SMU to be in there. However, again, with the committee's past thinking, I think that they'll put in a 3-loss Alabama SEC team just because of the fact that they're Alabama, just because of their presence. And I also think that Miami has a good chance of sneaking in there, maybe 10th, 11th seed as well.
Right. I'm going to give you a chaos scenario. I'll give this to the viewers too. Hypothetically, Georgia blows out Texas in the championship game. Is there a scenario where only 2 SEC teams make the Solid Coach Football playoff?
I think absolutely. I think you also have to account for the fact that Ohio State just lost to Michigan.
Of course.
There's a chance in that scenario that you're talking about where Ohio State might get bounced out of the playoffs as well, which would be, crazy to think about considering coming into this season you had Ohio State winning the Big Ten championship. But either way, we'll see how things turned out. While we try to debate the current of college football, Casey Kasliner has more on his Trojan football history moment of the week.
Sometimes you need to rewatch Sam Darnold throwing to Michael Pittman to brighten up your day. Welcome back to This Week in Trojan History, where I remind you of USC football games you might have forgotten about. In honor of championship weekend, let's go back 7 years.
He is passing on 4th down to win a Pac-12 championship, and the Trojans will do just that. Josh Fallow.
The 2017 Pac-12 championship game was an instant classic between two heated rivals, USC and Stanford. Sam Darnold tossed for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns in what was a close thriller, connecting with Michael Pittman like clockwork. A heroic goal line stand kept USC in front, and Ronald Jones constantly weaved through holes and found the end zone twice. His fourth quarter score all but sealed USC's 31-28 win and a ticket to the Cotton Bowl. The Trojans' 2017 campaign was dominant. They beat Stanford twice and took a 5-game winning streak into their Cotton Bowl matchup with Ohio State, but couldn't get the job done in Arlington. Led by head coach Clay Helton, the 2017 was USC's most recent conference-winning season, but 2 disappointing losses to Notre Dame and Washington State kept the Trojans out of the playoff conversation. It might be a while until USC plays for a conference title again, but looking back on the glory days can help relieve the pain. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in Trojan History. As much as I'd love to ramble on, USC women's basketball.
Well, Juju Watkins is sealing her name in the record books. After 9 3-pointers last night, the sophomore guard takes the cake for most 3-pointers in a game in Trojan history. After the game, Coach Gottlieb praised the team and encouraged fans to head to the Galen Center to see more records broken.
And, I say to people, you should get to Galen whenever you can because you never know when something ridiculous is going to happen from Juju. And tonight, obviously what a night from the 3-point line, but I loved it. Just like it felt so joyous. They were all in rhythm. We know how well she can shoot the ball, and just for her to see them go down like that is fun. But I thought the energy of the team was really the winner, on the night. And so that made it really cool. Mm-hmm.
The 94-52 win for the Trojans last night gives the Trojans 7 wins on the season. The Trojans currently sit at the number 6 spot behind LSU, with 1 loss on the season coming from number 10, Notre Dame. Up next for the Trojans, they'll hit the road in their first ever Big Ten Conference contest against Oregon on Saturday. USC will hope to carry their momentum from this past week into their next matchup. Coming up, women's volleyball is going dancing in Austin. We break down their road to the title next.
And the Must Bus is slowing down and might be running out of gas. We talk about the Trojans' next big test.
Let me tell you how we amplify our Latina voices. Check out Dímelo. We have it all.
Deportes.
Entertainment. Noticias. ¿Qué tal? Soy Mariela Gómez y bienvenidos a Dime la Hora.
Radio and podcasting.
Comida y cultura.
Digital social media.
¿A qué equipo le vas tú? LA Galaxy o LAFC? Dímelo is the only Latina-focused media outlet at USC. Dímelo. We have it all.
Dímelo. We have it all.
Next to my big friend, I love the big taste of chocolate in this little Hershey's kiss.
Hershey's Kisses, the little kiss with the big taste.
This morning, Billy looked like any other boy, but as the moon rose, he turned into a werewolf. He used new Pa's Halloween makeup kits. His friends did too. Look, Mike's a vampire. Amy's a ghost. Pa's makeup is safer than masks. It never blocks vision, and it's hypoallergenic too. So watch your kids turn into the creatures they really are with new Pa's Halloween makeup kits.
Men's basketball season is in full swing, and the USC Trojans are currently 5-3. They faced 2 devastating losses last week in Palm Springs against St. Mary's and New Mexico, and look to bounce back tonight against number 12 Oregon. The undefeated Oregon's men's basketball is ranked 12th nationally and 4th in the Big Ten. The Ducks have the ability to play a 10-man rotation and have been consistent in all areas. Their last 3 straight wins against Texas A&M, San Diego State, and the number 9 ranked Alabama helped them jump into the top 15. This is the Trojans' first Big Ten matchup of the season. What do you guys think the Trojans need to do to pull off this win?
Yeah, I think first thing to note is that this slow start is not to credit to Eric Musselman. He's done a fantastic job. A mismatched group of guys coming into this season. He expected to get a lot more recruits from Heinfield. Didn't get as many as he thought, and now Musselman has kind of, this mismatched group again. But I think you got to shoot the three-point better. In the game against St. Mary's, 0 for 12 from three-point. 15 points in the second half. The defense is there as a team. They have that team mentality, but you have to have an offensive scorer come in and step up. I'd like to see either Caleb Williams, St. Thomas get going, and that should do well against the Oregon Ducks, a solid team.
Yeah, like you said, Liam, coming off of 2 back-to-back losses and only putting up 36 points in their last game, that's definitely tough to see as a fan. But like you said, it's no credit to Musselman. He's been doing a good job. But in regards to them playing Oregon, it's a little bit of a tricky matchup. Oregon is having a great start. They know their identity. They're 8-0 versus USC's 5-3. USC just hasn't found their footing yet. Team of transfers not clicking, like you said. So it might be a tricky matchup for them, but it is early in the season, so you can't really discredit them yet.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Trojans come out the gate with some high energy this game, playing aggressive man-to-man defense. Like you said, Eric Musselman is still trying to figure out what rotations work best. He's chosen a different starting 5 in every single game, all but once. So if I were him in this situation, my starting 5, I would go with St. Thomas, Matt Noling, Wesley Yates, Chibuzo Abo, and Josh Cohen. And then that way we can see guys like Desmond Claude and Clark Slacker come off the bench and give a little bit more depth to that Trojan roster.
Well, while it's been a rocky start for men's basketball, USC women's volleyball will make their 40th appearance in the NCAA tournament after receiving the 6th seed. The Trojans will face UT Arlington in a first-round matchup in Austin, Texas on Thursday. In the other first-round matchup at the Austin site, 3rd-seeded Texas will take on Texas A&M Corpus Christi. The winners of the first two first-round contests will meet in the second round this Friday. UT Arlington is the Western Athletic Conference regular season and tournament champion, and they are currently 29-2 on the year. Their 2 losses come from early matchups against TCU and Rice. UT Arlington is coming into this USC matchup on fire as they are on a 20-game winning streak. While the Trojans are excited to start dancing, 2 Trojans have received some exciting news of their own. Senior setter Mia Tuaninga and graduate outside hitter Allie Batenhorst were chosen in the 2nd annual Pro Volleyball Federation Collegiate Draft last week. Tuaninga was 27th overall, selected by the Atlanta Vibe with the 3rd pick of the 4th round. The setter from Long Beach was with USC all 4 years, totaling over 400 kills and nearly 900 digs. Allie Batenhorst was the 15th pick overall, with the Omaha Supernovas taking her as the 7th pick of the second round. Batenhorst has been a star at USC this year, racking up over 400 kills and 91 total blocks this season, and will make an impact at the pro level. But the work isn't done yet for Batenhorst and Tuaninga. The Trojans will hope to keep the dance alive this Thursday against UT Arlington.
A three-peat. USC men's water polo won their 3rd straight MPSF championship this week and secured a 20th consecutive NCAA championship appearance. The Trojans defeated the number 1 ranked team in the country, UCLA Bruins, in a 15-13 thriller. Carson Kranz became the 9th Trojan in history to be named MPSF Tournament MVP and is joined on the all-tournament team by Bernardo Herzer and Max Miller. Following the win, the squad secured the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament and will face California Baptist today at 4 p.m. in the round of 8. Later down the line, the Trojans could slate themselves a rematch with still number 1 UCLA Bruins in the championship, which would be played on the 8th of December. USC is aiming to capture the program's 11th men's NCAA crown and first title since 2018. Well, it's the final show of the semester, and you know what that means. Trojans of the semester. Off to T-Squared.
Well, for the final time in 2024, it's everyone's favorite segment. Get ready for Trojan of the Week. But like Liam alluded to, we're changing it up. Terrence and I have selected our top 5 Trojans of the week this semester. So let's first take a look at Team Thomas. My top 5 are Ali Batenhorst, Max Miller, Jacoby Lane, Mia Tuaninga, and Terrence Williams II. Now to hear about the objectively worst team. Terrence?
Well, my top 5 is much more complete. I have 3 members of the women's soccer team in Miley Hayes, Maria Alagoa, and Lawrence Gladue. Then I sprinkled in a little football with Woody Marks, and finally Ali Batenhorst.
Now, Terrence, I want to talk about completeness.
Let's hear it.
Of your top 5, 60% are of women's soccer.
Yes.
And I think my team is much more complete. I have men's water polo, I have women's volleyball, I have football, and basketball. 4 different sports.
That's fair.
You only have 3.
You know, that's fair. I just don't think that you chose the right people from these sports. I'll give you Ali Batenhorst. That was a great pick. But Lane and Max Miller were not the right picks. Let's talk about Lane first off. 4th in receiving yards, not even the best.
First in touchdowns. He has 4 more than the second highest.
Nowhere near the best USC football player you could have chosen. Woody Marks is far superior in the football standpoint. Let's talk about that. 2nd team all Big Ten in a running conference. He was the 2nd best running back behind only Caleb Johnson, who was 2nd in the nation in rushing yards. Great running back, great season from Woody Marks.
Yeah, but let's talk about Max Miller, because you said that was not a good pick.
I didn't say that. I didn't say.
No, you literally just said.
You literally
said
it was
that
not the best pick.
So MPSF all tournament team, all MPSF first team. What's better than a pick?
I think Robert Lopez Duarte was better. I think he was overall a better pick that you could have chosen from water polo. I didn't say it was a bad pick. I didn't think it was the best pick from water polo.
Max Miller has over 100 career goals for USC. He hit a career milestone.
I don't care about career. I'm talking about this season. And
he made the MPSF all tournament team.
Lopez Duarte has a better season this year. He had more goals, more assists, all that stuff.
Okay, well, are you going to tell me that you chose 3 women's soccer players?
Yes, I did.
So how can you choose 3 and say that they're all the best player on their team?
I don't think they're all the best player on their team. I think that they bring the most to the team. Let's talk about Lawrence Gladue. 11 clean sheets.
How can they all bring the most to a singular team?
They're all different positions. It's different levels of the field, different levels of defense.
Okay, well, Jacoby Lane's a wide receiver, Woody Marks is a running back.
Let's talk about
different positions.
Let's talk about my namesake, Terrence Williams. You chose someone from an objectively bad team. Let's talk about that. He is a fine player on a bad team.
You chose Woody Marks of a 6-6 football team.
I'll hand it to you on that one. But this team is bad. The men's basketball team is bad. They lost by 36 against St. Mary's team. A St. Mary's team that our friend Casey Kasliner has been open for. How are we going to let that slide, Thomas?
What do you mean open for?
He's been openly a fan of them.
We're
going to get off topic.
Okay, well, I don't know. This has been a fun semester.
It's been a fantastic semester.
I want to end with a good old handshake.
Let's do it. Put it right there, pal.
All right.
And sadly, we'll have to wrap it up here. Thomas, it's been a pleasure debating you these past few weeks. We have been pretty even in our debating, but of course, I reign supreme. I can't wait to get back on this couch next semester with you.
Well, it should be a fun semester heading into 2025. But up next, Mahomes, Magic, and Mr. Perfect are dominating the NFL as the playoffs are approaching, and the NBA in-season tournament is heating up. We'll break down the bracket next.
That sounded like a... Whoa! And it's getting closer!
Peekaboo!
Count Chocula! Did you hear a wolf?
It was Wolfie, howling for the 2 new marshmallows in my Count Chocula cereal. The lovely chocolatey part of this complete breakfast.
2 new marshmallows?
Yes, the new Full Moon and Chocolate Wolf marshmallows make Count Chocula a howling delight.
For a limited time, you can try the Full Moon and Chocolate Wolf marshmallows inside new shiny boxes of Count Chocula.
Wow, Millhouse, that frozen black cherries turned your tongue black. My tongue's black, too.
Let me try. Must have black tongue.
This Halloween, the Simpsons are at Burger King. Now in every big kid's meal, you can get a Simpsons spooky light up. They gleam, there is Scream, and you can collect all 15 at Burger King. Where else?
This Halloween, Blockbuster Video has a special treat for your whole family. You can take home any of these great Halloween classics for just $7.99. Or rent 2 movies and get them for $3.99. Now, if that's not a reason to scream, what is? Make it a blockbuster fright.
The NFL season is winding down with the playoff race heating up. Only 4 teams have been eliminated so far, with most divisions still up for grabs. The Chiefs and Lions are the current 1 seeds in the AFC and NFC, both hot off Thanksgiving week victories, with both taking down division foes, where the Chiefs beat the Raiders and the Lions took down the Bears. Here's a look at the current playoff picture. As mentioned, Kansas City and Detroit top the AFC and NFC, both with 1 loss apiece. However, the Bills and Eagles are hot on their coattails, and staying local, the LA Chargers are currently sitting as the 5th seed in the AFC. With the NFL season coming down to the wire, what teams do you guys see bringing home the Lombardi Trophy?
Yeah, well, my Super Bowl prediction is the Bills versus the Lions. And then I think I see the Bills bringing home the gold. The Bills are 8-0 coming off of a bye week, and this is the best record they've had since 2017. They weren't supposed to look this good offensively, but they actually look really, really strong. James Cook has been playing great for them. Amari Cooper has been a good addition to their wide receiver depth. And honestly, I'm a Patrick Mahomes hater, so I'm tired of seeing them in the playoffs. So I think the Bills versus the Lions is my take.
That's a fair point. I think I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go Baltimore Ravens versus Philadelphia Eagles. We saw it this week. That's going to be a Super Bowl preview. I think it's really important in a playoff game to be able to get 1 yard in a situation. And either squad has arguably the best running backs in the league in Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. The number 1 rushing offense for the Eagles, number 1 rushing defense for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think either squad has a good chance to make it past. The Ravens would have to probably beat both the Bills and the Chiefs, but I think they can do it. Eagles should breeze through the NFC as long as they can take over the Detroit Lions.
Well, you both mentioned the Lions. This is their year. They've been through the ringer these past couple years, losing last year in the NFC Championship. They're the most complete team in the league. They're defensively sound, with Kirby Joseph being tied for first in the league with 7 interceptions. So I can see the Lions taking it home this year. And like you said, the Chiefs, they're great. They're a family favorite with Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But it's time for somebody else to come in, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, well, while we've talked about the professional league in football, now let's go from the gridiron to the court. Daniel, what's going on with the NBA Cup?
The NBA Cup is down to its final 8 as 4 teams from the West and East will compete for a trip to Las Vegas to capture this year's in-season tournament crown. The quarterfinals begin next week with the final 4 out West featuring the Thunder, Rockets, Warriors, and Mavericks. The Bucks, Knicks, Hawks, and Magic round out the Eastern Conference. Houston could be the toughest matchup remaining in the tournament, as the Rockets were the only team in the West to win their group outright. With a 15-7 record and the number 2 overall seed in the West, Houston also has the league's 3rd best defensive rating. And in the East, Milwaukee went 4-0 in group play and has won 9 of their last 10 games following a 2-8 start. Teams will be looking to slow down Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who combined for an average of 58 points this season. And for my predictions, on the west side of the bracket, I have the Mavericks and Rockets advancing to the semifinals, and in the East, the Bucks will handle business against the shorthanded Magic, and Trae Young will continue his dominance over the Knicks and lead Atlanta to the next round. And in the championship game, the Bucks will take down the Rockets and be crowned NBA Cup champions. And that's all I have for the NBA. Back to Grace for some fun Trojan trivia.
Thanks, Daniel. Well, since it's our last episode of the year, why don't we do some Trojan trivia to test our knowledge and wrap up the season? What do you guys think?
Great idea.
Great idea. All right, so for question number 1, which of these Trojans has not won a Heisman Trophy? Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Matt Barkley, or Charles White?
We're going with C. Matt Barkley did not win a Heisman.
That's your guess. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think unless this is a trick question on the Reggie Bush part, I think we're going to have to go C here.
Great point, Liam. Maybe last year, but I'm going to stick with Matt Barkley.
It's Matt Barkley.
Anybody else? All C? Okay.
All C?
All right, well, let's see. Which one of these Trojans has not won a Heisman Trophy? The answer is Matt Barkley. Correct, everybody. Off to a great start here.
All right, I'll take the second question. What year did USC women's basketball team win their first NCAA title? Either A, 1983, B, 1981, C, 2003, or D, 1984.
Oh, I know this one. 1983. 1983-84, Cheryl Miller led them to their first back-to-back championships.
Dang, Debbie.
Women's basketball.
Does anybody disagree?
No.
I trust her. I'm gonna go with that as well.
All right, let's see the answer.
What do we go with, 1983?
Hey, there we go. We're
Right.
2 for 2.
Okay, how many Olympic gold medals has USC athletes won? A, 76, B, 163, C, 215, or D, 170?
I know for a fact it's not 76. I want to say it's the
more.
200.
It's triple digits.
It's obviously triple digits. I want to say it's 216. I might be wrong.
I'm going to say 165.
Yeah,
Disagreeing
I don't
in
know
true
if it's
fashion.
200. I might go 165.
It's high. We know it's high. I would totally see 215 though.
250. Oh, what was the last one?
170.
I'm gonna go with that one. I don't know. It's
Okay, we
speaking
have
to me.
163, 170, 215.
They're all close. Somebody's got to be right.
I am worried. I am worried though because we had C as our answer for number 1.
Oh,
I
you
don't know if
gotta
they'll
be
put C for
smart.
number 3.
You're thinking too much into it.
I am. I think it's C though. I'm sticking with C.
I'm going with D. Right.
I'll tell you on C.
Okay, what is the answer?
Survey says.
Oh, D, 170.
Wow.
I'm disappointed in myself.
I somehow beat. I've never done Trojan of the Week, but maybe that just proves that I can.
Okay.
Fighting words right there.
We might need to feature you on the couch next semester.
Ooh,
that's fighting words, Grace.
That's a crazy invitation, but that pretty much wraps up things here on Sports Scene for the season. We want to give a big thank you to all of our crew, everybody who helps put the show on, especially our producer Hayes, and it's her birthday today. So happy birthday, Hayes, and thank you from all of us at Sports Scene. See you next year.